What is up, guys? This is Dom from the Home Buyers, and I'm with my good buddy Sumit. He just purchased 70 units here at London Square, and he's helping real people build wealth.
Love it. Dom, I'm really happy to have you here. I can't wait to show you what we're doing here. We just started this project and we've really got it rolling. Can't wait to see what's next.
Yeah, so I got a lot of questions I want to ask you, but first, can we check out the property?
I'd love to. Let's do it. Ready to go?
Cool. Yeah, let's get it.
Let's do it.
So how long ago did you get these?
So we bought this in mid-May. So right now,
Okay.
It's been right around 2 months exactly since we closed.
Okay.
And it's just been phenomenal to see the feedback that the residents have shared with us. The existing builder of this whole concept that built it across Ohio and Florida, is the one who owned this since it was built. So 1976. And over time, they just didn't invest in the asset that much. So all of the tenants here have been so, I would say, happy and just like really expressed gratitude that we've actually been coming in, investing,
That's
and actually
awesome.
taking care of a lot of the deferred maintenance and change the way this community kind of is laid out. So it's laid out between multiple buildings that cross our whole 70 units. And we just love the layout of it because each individual tenant has access for their own kind of car approaching their unit, but then they each have their own entry. So different than typical apartments, they actually can just walk into their own unit and it feels like it's their own home.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful. I love the setup here. How long does it take for a deal of this size to like actually execute? When did you start working on this? Like,
Yeah, so we started the minute we closed. We had already set up all of our pipeline of team to get ready to go deploy. So the first thing we did is we wanted to cure any of the kind of minor landscaping issues and then the gutter and fascia related stuff. So we wanted to make sure there wasn't leakage on the roof or leaking back into the roof, and then any drainage of water that was happening. So we cured that first. So we'll go through, because of the time of year right now in the summer, we're going through and taking care of all the exteriors. So we're going through gutter, fascia, exterior paint, giving it a real refresh. This used to be a tanner color. You'll see on the kind of outside of the exterior of the fence is still the old paint that was kind of old and outdated. Right now we go through and we're giving it a full refresh. And what people have compared it to is like this like kind of farmhouse blue. So we did a bright white and a deep blue to just make the residents and tenants feel like this is a new place. And it really does, it really pops. In addition, we had to take care of a bigger plumbing and trench issue that we had for drainage from one of the buildings. So one of the buildings was retaining a lot of water underneath, and so we had to cure this issue. So we go through and execute that, and we'll come across tenants all the time and just help them kind of modify it.
hello.
How are ya? Good to see ya.
Good.
Nice.
Man, it was slow. What have you ever toured an apartment community this size?
So no, I've not toured something of this size. I mean, I've done residential houses. I typically do single family. I've done a couple multifamily, but I've never done something of this size. So this is awesome to see, and definitely a lot of work and planning goes into this. I see you got a leasing office here. How many people do you have like on staff here at all times?
So all times so there's different phases, right? There's the phase where we're going out and we're renovating all these units to improve the asset, bring units to this new cosmetic and operational standard. So we'll have subcontractors in the units, and then we'll have a lot of these other subs around gutter, fascia, roofing, tree trimming, landscaping. And then during the lease up, we'll have a maintenance and our leasing agent, plus myself, my partner, the general partners that go out and oversee everything, and then a regional that comes and oversees. So during the lease up, when we're doing a lot of projects, there's typically full-time 2 staff at a size of this community, so 70 units, plus all the kind of additional help that comes in for the specialized. As you can see, like it just has this like really nice homey feel for each of the units. You'll see we're gonna cross Omar one of our maintenance guys. Omar is a real specialist. He kind of understands every single piece of the business. He's exactly what you look for in terms of attracting and retaining great talent. He knows a lot about everything and is able to do a lot of the work. So he's running, if you can see him right now, he's running through a unit right now to go out and check on some appliances as we do some unit terms to just make sure the tenants' appliances are. So on an ongoing basis, Omar is going through and actually taking care of ongoing maintenance requests, in addition to doing kind of like the little fine-tuned things that any of the subcontractors are not doing. So Omar and anyone who has kind of that work ethic to work from and be really efficient. But the nicest part about it is Omar also lives in this community
Nice.
with his wife, and so he has even much more pride of taking care of his neighbors and the other tenants. So Omar is someone who's just like, you find certain personalities that care,
Yeah.
and Omar is that person. So
I feel like that's huge. You got to have the right team with this such a big project. If something goes wrong, something goes south, and no one's there to address it, you got a lot of doors you're managing. So
yeah.
how frequently do you got to check up on everybody?
Yeah, I would say, it's kind of like your team and your tenants, they become part of like your family. I think they are part of the investment, and you kind of like, you're ongoing checking on what's going on each day. I think, the real value in an investment is not just buying something, it's really how you manage it. And in things like these big assets, you can take care of them really well and invest on the front end, but if you don't manage on an ongoing basis, you can have big issues. Like one example was we just passed a building that has a big plumbing related issue, and so you have some people that are dealing with really intense amount of toilet and like sewage issues. And so if myself and our team, we're not trying to solve this issue as quick as possible, people are going to the restroom and the toilets are clogged. But it's not just one unit, there's multiple units within that building. And so we have to get under the building, identify what's going on, and actually cure it, because if not, someone doesn't have a place to actually live and enjoy, because they're walking into a clogged toilet each time. So one of the reasons we like investing in areas like the Youngstown, Warren area is just the affordability. So you can, there's nowhere in this country that you can buy
cheaper than to build, right?
Way cheaper than to build, almost 1/3 the cost that it takes to build. So the average unit across new development is 150 to 200,000 a unit. These cost 40,000 per unit to buy here in Boardman, Ohio. Really good.
That's a good deal.
Very good deal. So you look at, we always talk about the 1% rule or the 2% rule. Here, this applies a 2% rule because we're able to rent something that we bought for $40,000. So $40,000 for each unit across the 70 units. For after renovating, after putting in about $3,000 to $7,000 depending on what amount the unit needs, we're able to rent it for close to $895, between $825 and $895 depending on the renovation. And so you think about that, that's a 2% on,
yeah, that's great.
It's
especially at scale that you're able to do that. So one thing I'm interested, so you bought these, they're from the 1970s. I think that's great. To hit this 2% and to scale and buy all these properties, do you have like a specific buy criteria of what kind of properties you're going after to find these deals?
That's a really good question. I think that it all goes to that same threshold. It's like we love these kind of 1970s to 1990s product because they sell in that 30 to 55, 60,000 range.
Makes sense.
So that's one thing. But we look at places where rents are way below market, and just by investing in an asset, we can actually force the value creation. So like when we look at something, if we were to look at this community and rents were already at $850, and we think the top of rents is $895, maybe $950, would we have bought? Maybe not. But because this place was high occupancy and average rents were in the mid 600s and low 700s,
Yeah, you can increase a lot there.
you could increase a lot. And you could
Yeah.
increase a lot by actually investing in the asset, change the cosmetic look, making people feel really proud of like the product versus it being an outdated carpeted unit, right?
Yeah.
When you rent in today's day and age, I think that modernizing units actually appeals to a lot of people, where you don't get a lot of new product in like in the surrounding area. It's just kind of
Yeah.
a lot of lipstick type renovation.
Lipstick on a pig, they say.
Yeah, that is
Yeah.
that is the phrase. But we actually go through and actually cure all the below the eye type of issues. So many plumbing related issues, sink, faucet, any water's drainage, any and then even on the customer service, because we have a team in place, we're able to take care of people and actually respond to things on a timely basis. Whereas a small landlord or small real estate investor or real estate owner just doesn't have the wherewithal to take care of people on an ongoing basis.
Yeah, it's a lot of bandwidth.
Absolutely.
So, Sumit, interest rates, people say, are relatively high nowadays. Some people are waiting for them to come down. Is that affecting you? Are you still buying units? Like, I see you got this, interest rates were high. Are you worried at all, or how do you account for that? What do you think the market has to say with that? Can you still buy? And
Yeah, so I think in the markets like Ohio, you can definitely buy, because right here, the going in cap rate was 7%. So even if interest rates are a little bit above that you can go in and force the value creation and increase your cap rate and actually be able to afford your interest rate or your debt payment. I think you have to think about it counterintuitively as well, which is when interest rates are high, there's less buyers. So it's a better time to buy and create value when there's less market activity, there's less people trying to buy.
yeah,
So I think when interest rates go down, right, this apartment community was bought for $40,000 per door. If interest rates would have been 5.5%, 4.5%, this would have been 55 to 65, 70,000 per door.
Interesting, yeah.
So if we can buy during a high interest environment and stomach and execute the business plan, the value increases if interest rates go down. We assume that interest rates don't go down because we don't want to be we want to mitigate risk and just assume that we're going to be in a higher interest rate environment right now, and we know that the business plan still works because there's value to create.
Yeah. So cool. So Sumit, you founded and created Bloom Wealth Private Equity, right?
Yep.
So you help people grow their wealth. How are you helping people, and like how did this all start?
Yeah, I mean, the real pain point was I came back from starting my career in New York City at a big firm, and I started to actually understand the world of business beyond kind of being in high school and college. And I started talking for the first time to my parents about where they were with investments and money. And I realized that my parents, as just individuals in America, but also as immigrants, didn't have good access to financial education. And so I started on this path of like, I got to figure this out so that I could help my parents out.
Yeah.
So it was so cool to see this world, and
Awesome.
I went into stocks, went into crypto, went into all these things. The one asset that never was something I could really figure out and do well on was real estate. I think all the others have a lot of psychology, and you can do well in a lot of different investments, but real estate, in the way you can buy something at a good value and force value, has been a really tremendous way to build wealth, not only for my parents, for myself, and then I brought it out to my friends, family, and friends of theirs, and it's been extremely rewarding to help people on the path to what I think shouldn't be a foreign thing and is not taught, and give them access.
I mean, that's got to feel great. You're helping a lot of people out. So let's say one of the viewers has a lot of money and they're looking to invest and make passive returns. How do you get started investing with you? Like, what's the process look like, and how do you offer returns to investors?
Yeah, so broadly speaking, it depends on the offering. So we're not talking about a specific offering, but what we do is we try to target roughly anywhere from a 15 to 20% return, depending on the asset, is what we're looking at right now in these value add multifamily. And I think the conversation starts with building a relationship. Learn about what we do, why we invest in Ohio, why we invest in kind of these secondary and tertiary areas where there's a lot of ability to change the lives of these individuals that live in these communities, but there's also a way to buy something that really is gonna not go down in value. The demand for this type of product in terms of affordability is there. So I think it's just a conversation. I think we focus on learning about someone's finances, learning about what their goals are, and seeing, does our strategy match up with it?
Yeah.
Real estate is a powerful tool. It's not as liquid as investing in a stock or keeping your money in the bank. So I think there's a different way to understand being able to park your money in an investment and have it be held for 12 months, 24 months, 36 months, depending on the timeline. So I think the conversation starts by just reaching out, and love to learn about someone, their goals. I think, early on we talked about where you were with what you were trying to do in your investing career, and I think it's just always a conversation to understand what someone's goals are.
Yeah, so I'm finding single family homes, and they could be profitable, but you have to continually find more and more deals. So this is where this is very attractive. You could find one deal and not have to focus on a bunch of different headaches. You got them all consolidated. So I think that's very interesting. But one thing we share in similarities is we both love investing in the Ohio market.
Yes.
So can you go over why you think Ohio might be possibly one of the best markets to invest in?
Yeah, and I think the one thing you have to do is you have to understand your local markets. Two, I think there can always be a good deal, but when you look at the value you can buy, so how much something costs. So this same product in South Florida, where my prior firm used to invest, would cost about $200,000 just to get into just on the purchase price. Wow. So if I can buy the same product for 1/5 of the cost in Ohio, and it rents at a much more significant premium than in South Florida, then this might be a better asset. Mm-hmm. Now, Ohio is a cash flow state, and so it's more about cash flow and not about appreciation. So if you're in Florida, if you're in Texas,
you're gonna have more appreciation.
You may have more appreciation,
maybe less cash flow.
Maybe less cash flow, but also they're a little bit more volatile during a higher interest rate environment, when rents decelerate because there might be new supply or new development coming on. Whereas Ohio, especially in the markets we're investing in, there's almost no new supply, especially in this market. And so as we improve our product and there's older landlords here, we're able to demand a premium in a market that doesn't have new product. Yeah. That lets us stick out. That drives investment returns. That drives our asset value, which all the investors and partners benefit from. Yeah, no, I think that makes a lot of sense. And I think the fact that you said you got each unit here for $40,000, I think that's a steal. A lot of people in other states would not believe that to be possible, but you could find that in Ohio, but you also have to be looking in the right area. So understanding your location. You're in Boardman here, so this is a great area here. Boardman's a premier school district. Yeah. What high school did you go to? Campfield. So you went to Campfield, another premier school, high school that's right next door. But if you look at school systems where students want to be put in and parents want, this is a type of community where you feel safe, you feel secure. Sometimes when you look at houses that are single family houses that are $40,000, you may be in a very low socioeconomic area where there's a lot of crime and there's a lot of issues. Here you're nestled in an area where there's a lot of safety, access to the biggest shopping centers, biggest employers, and just feel safe. So this is one of our model units. This is to show what actually a furnished apartment would look like. This is an unrenovated 1-bedroom, 1-bath. So you have carpet instead of the luxury vinyl plank, but you can see how homey it feels. You can see how kind of spacious, and kind of as you see, you can have your little dining room table, have your bookshelves, and then we'll kind of walk over here, check out where the kitchen is. So you have cabinetry, you have the ability to cook, your fridge, and then we'll come over to the bedroom, and it's just like a nice style where you feel that either a couple could live here or a young family. So 1 bedroom, we'll have the
yeah, it's a nice homely standard 1-bedroom. So what does one of these run out for?
So unrenovated $825. Okay. If we did the luxury vinyl plank and some of the other higher end features, it would be $895, which is extremely affordable and just a good value in this area. Then you have the bathroom, and you have closet space throughout. In addition, for additional storage, we have attic space in each of the units. So
Oh, really?
yeah,
That's nice.
it is nice. It's a beautiful unit. Just love the ability to just make someone feel at home, especially in these products.
So yeah, what are your occupancy rates right now?
Yeah, so right now we're at about 92%. So we
Okay.
have 2 moving in this Friday. So on a unit like this, if you look at for 70 units, 1 unit brings it down. So I gotta do the math. But a 10% vacancy is 7 units down. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And so we're roughly right around there. We have I think it's like we have 6 that are being worked on.
Cool. So how's the demand looking? There's a lot of people putting in applications.
Yeah, so when we do an investment like this, because we're doing renovations and a lease marketing strategy, we go out and advertise on a couple different platforms.
Okay.
We do apartments.com, we do rent.com depending on the area, we use Zumper and some of these other innovative like tech platforms. And then we do Facebook Marketplace, which actually gets a lot of results. So I think it's about like listening to your community, talking to people, and hearing where they search for things. So in the Boardman community, apartments.com and Facebook Marketplace have worked really well.
Yeah.
So that's where
I found in the Ohio market, if you have something in decent condition, you put it available for rent, there's like 20, 30 applicants like day one.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people looking for places to live and rent affordably too.
Yes. I think
Affordable housing is non-existent. Almost.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing to watch out for when you do an investment like this is you have to think about what their background is.
Yeah.
Do they have any kind of violent felonies? Can they afford and will continue to be able to pay rent? So we do kind of credit score
Protect
and
yourself.
look at their actual job and job qualifications. And I just think it's the wherewithal. Like you don't want someone to move in and then have to go through a process of getting them out of your unit as they do
Evicting.
damage. So I think tenant screening is like what we put
Huge.
a high pressure on. Yeah. Not just taking anyone just because you need to fill a unit. That also isn't the best. So we'll wait for the right tenants and applicants, but we'll get a lot of applications. Like right now, my phone's kind of dinging of applications.
I've been seeing.
Yeah. So it's nice. It's a really good feeling because then you know that the product is attracting people and that you're not setting your prices too far beyond reach.
Yeah.
So.
Awesome. So Sumit, what are your strategies to try to increase the value and increase the rent?
So there's a couple things we look at. One is when you look at a place like this, they might have not been doing an efficient job of billing back water, utilities, certain additional income like parking income, pet income, storage income. So we look at areas where tenants need additional storage. How can we build a effective storage solution? How can we build back kind of overhead parking? So we're in Northeast Ohio. In the wintertime, people don't want to take care of like snow. And so we have great parking that we can actually make more covered and more secure and drive that. In addition, like, you know, this was owned for since 1976 by the original developer. They kept this as a model unit the whole time. They weren't getting rental income. They weren't getting any additional income. They're paying for utilities. We'll go through and rent this actual unit. And then as a unit is empty, we'll show that, or we'll show pictures and then keep this place highly occupied.
Yeah, because nowadays you could just use an iPad, show them the photos. You don't need to have a model unit.
You don't need an actual model. And if you think about creating value, you want you want to maximize your rental income, you want to maximize your other income, and you want to decrease the expenses that you as a landlord are taking and offset that by a revenue stream.
So now when you go to reappraise this down the road, you'll show 71 units, right?
Exactly. So this will be, this we would have bought for 40,000. Once you're done increasing the value, this will be around 80,000. So 80,000 of value just
by
on
transitioning
one unit,
that.
just on one unit, and that doesn't account for all the cash flow that would have come from renting this. So there's all these different levers that you look at, but that's one of them. Another way we look at is, you asked about staffing earlier. So one of the additional ways is sometimes places are overstaffed, and so there's ways to cut payroll. And sometimes when you're overstaffed, there's a lot of wastage. So you'll have one guy, like one maintenance person not working, kind of taking a lot of like cigarette breaks or breaks, going out and buying supplies, but you already have them. When you have a more efficient operation, there's one person, they understand their projects, they're streamlining it, they're actually productive. And so I think staffing appropriately is really important.
So it's very important to make the most out of your money here. ad revenue and not to be overspending, because you are on a pretty big budget, a lot of units, everything's got to go smooth, and you got quite the procedure. So
Yeah, and I think as you think about it, as you grow and you're doing bigger projects, on a small project, there's leakage and wastage.
Yeah.
On bigger projects, there's even more potential wastage.
Yeah.
And it's our investors and our own money going into this. We want to protect that at all costs. So you go in and we cost control to the max, because every little thing adds up.
Yeah.
And so we have to control that, because the value of the asset is based on how much net operating income or how much additional income we're driving. So
yeah, no, that's awesome. So after hearing all this, it's pretty enticing to want to invest with you. So I want to understand, are you a REIT or are you a syndication, and what's the difference?
yeah, so I've been really fortunate in my career to work on private non-traded REITs. I've also worked in private equity firms that did syndications or funds. So the way we model it is we do syndications and funds. So
Okay.
the difference is a syndication can be a single deal, a fund can be multiple syndications.
Okay.
We look at this deal as an individual deal, so it's a syndication. So that means when we're sharing with an investor what we're doing, they know the address, they know the business plan, and they understand that this is the one deal they're invested in. Or you can be in a fund, which is multiple deals.
Okay. So obviously this deal is already taken care of. We missed out on this. What future deals do you have going on? Any other deals you're working on?
Yeah, so we actually have 3 more deals in the pipeline right now. One is a 166 unit in the Cleveland area.
Okay.
We have a suburb of Cuyahoga Falls, a 55 unit exact model of this. And then we have a 42 unit in the Cleveland area. So
Wow.
it's the same kind of, we try to really mitigate risk, one for ourselves on the operation, which is buy something at a great value, good purchase price,
Yeah.
mitigate the risk there. So that's like the first lever. Then understand how much you have to budget to actually improve the asset. So how you control your renovation budget. Third is, where is the interest rates? Where's the capital markets? How can you
Yep.
get debt? That's the third part. And then fourth is, how are we going to operate it? How are we going to manage it?
Yeah.
And those are kind of the crucial side of making a good investment in commercial real estate and multifamily.
Yeah, well, I mean, I got to believe that's probably a big purchase. Probably a couple mil for those couple deals.
Yeah, so the 166 unit as total is 7.5 million.
Okay.
The other is roughly 3.2 million.
Okay.
And then the other is about 3.6 in today's negotiation.
So you need 13, 14 million. So how many investors are you looking to take on for that?
Yeah, it depends on the check size and amount of people. For example, some people write bigger checks, some people write smaller checks. It's just depending on their goals.
Yeah.
So we'll kind of have conversations with every person. Typically,
That's good.
we only take accredited investors for some of the larger deals that we publicly advertise. And then we have private 506B offerings where we do people that are non-accredited. We can take 35 non-accredited in each vehicle, plus unlimited accredited investors.
I'm not sure if I understand that completely. So
Do you know what an
You could
accredited
do-
investor is?
yeah, so if I understand, accredited investor, you got to get registered and state you're worth what, $1 million?
So yeah, so there's 2 criteria typically for an accredited investor. It's either you have an income, so you pass the income test
Yeah.
of $200,000 or more if you're single
Okay.
for 2 years and expecting to be for a 3rd year, or $300,000 if married. So that's the income test. If you pass
Okay.
there, you're accredited. Or you can be, you have your net worth that's equal to $1 million,
Yeah.
excluding your personal residence. And the reason that those 2 qualifications are there is just so these are SEC exempt registrations, but they are overseen by like a securities regulation and just want to be properly documented and taking only qualified
Yeah,
investors.
that makes sense. So everything here is regulated. This is a completely different ball game. Dang, this is pretty cool. It's pretty impressive. I guess if you don't have $1 million or 200,000 a year, people have a benchmark to get up to. But I guess what would you say like are different ways that this can help people out and grow wealth?
Yeah, I think one of the things you got to think about is where, like when I think about where I'm parking my money is where demand is. So
Yeah.
if you think about a stock investment or crypto, you don't have an asset that's backing it. So right here, we're investing in an asset where there's high demand because of renters, and every time someone's paying rent, they're paying a return to the investment partnership. And that's how you as an investor get your return. So we love it because it's safe, it's collateralized by real estate, we have the real estate insured, we're going and enforcing value creation. So there's all these ways that are protected versus, and then we're going through debt financing with a big bank or larger banks that are doing comprehensive underwriting, double checking our work. So there's all these reasons that give us counter checks to why we're making a good investment. And I like that about real estate.
Yeah.
The other thing I love about real estate is you're making an investment and you're doing a lot of due diligence on the front end to make sure it's good. And you can't just get out on a whim. You're trying to make sure that you have conviction in why you're buying something and why you're going to force the creation. The coolest part about real estate is you can buy something, and as long as you hold for a long enough time, you can create value. And so the asset itself and the way that we invest is not going to go down, that we can hold for a longer time if anything were to happen, if COVID were to happen, if the macroeconomic environment were to change. So we still have an asset, we still have people that need a place to live, they're still paying rent, and they're still distributing cash flow.
That's huge. No, that sounds awesome. It sounds win-wins for everyone. There's a lot of details that go on, so it's awesome for the investors. They don't have to worry about it. You take care of all that. You're helping people enhance their living, giving them better housing, and it sounds like you're also helping people transition portfolios, and you're buying over people's portfolios.
Yeah, so I think the coolest part of this is they're getting exposed to something that gives them predictability.
Yeah.
So when you're in the stock market, if you're near retirement or you need predictable amount of money coming in, here when we expect a certain business plan and let's say an amount that's annually going to come to an investor, they can depend on that kind of income stream because of our business plan around it.
Well, let's say somebody's listening and they're a retiring landlord and they have X amount of properties and units. What's your ideal criteria for how many units you're buying? Will you buy 10 units or is your minimum 20, 30, 40?
Yeah, I think it depends on the location and our teams. So we typically focus in on a 2-hour radius of Cleveland. So we go all the way to Youngstown and the Warren area where we're all from, all the way to a little bit north of Columbus, all the way to the west side of Lorraine. So a 2.5 to 3 hour radius allows us to always keep eyes on it and oversee. So the beautiful part about someone who wants to be a passive investor and doesn't want to answer a tenant's headache call about a toilet being clogged or some big issue is that we manage all that. The other side of it is that kind of we have an expertise in understanding what needs to be done and renovated and can do it at scale and at more effective cost controls. So trusting us to kind of do that and just being able to park your money and get returns is a great way for people that don't want to be involved.
That's great. So if you're an investor and you're looking to invest with you, or maybe someone's got a 60 unit in Cleveland they want to sell, where can people get a hold of you? You guys got a website?
Yeah, so we have a website. I personally prefer that people reach out directly. So the best way to reach out is my email, which is Sumit, SUMIT, at invest, INVEST, BWP, which is bloomwealthpartners.com. So it's Sumit, SUMIT, at invest, INVEST, BWP.com.
Good. Hey Sumit, man, I really appreciate you taking time out of your busy day to show me your properties, teach me, educate me on how you're doing it, and also teach the audience. It means a lot to me. I'm learning, and if you guys liked it too, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and let us know if you guys want to see a part 2. I'm really excited with what you taught me today, man.
I would love to do a part 2. Dom, it means the world to me that you came out. I think one of the coolest parts is just being able to show you, even your family or friends and your network, how to build wealth in real estate. I think that there's so much power here, and I hope that everyone learns this because it really changes the world in terms of understanding financial abundance and having control of your finances. So anytime you need anything, I'm always there for you.
Thank you, man. Let's get financially free.